So I'm going to Reno in a couple of days because I'll be teaching a few agents on how to do video marketing that attracts buyers and sellers. But that got me thinking, because video isn't the only way to create content. Now, I do believe that video is the ultimate, but some people, I understand. Some agents, they say, well, it's too difficult, or I'm not good on video, or whatever their reasons are. So I figure, okay, I'll make this video. Interesting. I'll make this video that talks about 3 different ways you can create content in case video isn't for you. Well, let me back up for a second. There's a few things you need to take into consideration before you start creating content. First one is, where is my avatar consuming content? Right? So if you're talking to first-time buyers, perhaps they're in their 20s, are they going to be on Facebook? Are they going to be reading blogs? Are they going to be on YouTube? Where are they spending their time? So once you know that, you know the type of content you want to create. So that's the first thing. The second thing, of course, is you have to feel comfortable creating that type of content on a consistent basis. Here's what I mean. So often when I go out to train agents on how to do local marketing, how to use video to do local marketing, they get really excited because it's a really exciting thing to do. They see me with a video camera, they look at other people with a video camera, they look at Gary Vee and they say, wow, that's exciting. I want to do that. And they get all fired up. And here's typically what happens. Every now and then I'll bump into an agent a year later or 2 years later after I have shown them how to create content using video. And I ask them, how's it going? And unfortunately, for whatever their reasons are, they're not continuing with anything. And it's a shame because a lot of these agents, they're so good and I could see the potential and they would be amazing on camera, but they're just not consistent. Whether it's fear holding them back, whether it's time holding them back. A lot of them will blame it on time, but I don't believe it's a time issue. I think it's more of a fear issue, or maybe it's too technical for them. So that's the second point, is you have to create content that you could be consistent with. I choose video because for me, that's the easiest way to stay consistent. So now that you know where your avatar hangs out, what you could do on a consistent basis, let's talk about 3 different ways you can actually create content. So the first way is the written word. So it doesn't matter whether it's a blog post or whether it's on your Facebook page or a Facebook profile. Wherever you're releasing this content into, the interwebs, the first way is the written communication. And this works really well for people that love consuming content by reading it. They read things more than watch it, view it, or listen to it. And they love to create content that way as well. If you're the type of agent who writes big long emails because you're just very creative and your fingers won't stop once you get started, perhaps that's the best way for you to create content. If you're afraid of a video camera and you just don't know how to go about it, but you love writing, it's for you. If you're not really a talker, writing could also be for you. Now, the good thing about writing is obviously it's great for Google. The more you write, the chances are greater that your website, if your content lives on your website, will be seen by Google. And that is an incredible thing. Second way to create content is the spoken word. If you're not a video person, if you don't like writing, but you love to talk, perhaps you should be looking at creating content using a podcast. Podcasts, in my opinion, are one level above the written word because now you can really hear that person. You can consume that person on a higher level because when you're reading something, You have to imagine, what does that person look like? What does that person sound like? And you're creating that in your head, and that depends on how good they are at writing. Personally, I'm not a writer, so I stay away from that. If you, for example, close your eyes right now and you're listening to me, you kind of get a better feeling, better idea of who I am just by listening to my voice. That's why I think that's one level above the written word. People love podcasts. They will listen to podcasts on the way to work, from work, and it's better than radio because radio, you know, I know agents have done radio in the past and you have to tune in Saturday morning, 9 a.m. or you miss the show. Podcast is the new radio. So they can download your episodes and they can listen to your episodes at their convenience. So podcasts are great for people who, they don't really like to write. Maybe they're a little scared of the video, but they speak really well and they're able to communicate their point through speaking. All right, point number 3, that would be video. Of course, video. Video, in my opinion, is truly the ultimate. So why is it the ultimate? Well, it's because, again, you have to go back to how people consume content. And in this day and age, majority of the people are consuming video. That's why YouTube is so popular. That's why Facebook is pushing video. It's because it's so easy to consume. And the reason I say it's the ultimate is because now people can experience you not just by listening to you, but they get to see you. That's why people are on YouTube just consuming these videos. In today's day and age, it's so easy to just hit play and let your brain just soak up the information. It's much easier than having to sit down, and when you're looking at this long blog post, your brain just goes, oh, I don't have time for this. So you start skimming through headlines, and if you don't like the headlines, forget it. That blog post will never be read. That's not to say that a post is not a good idea. It actually is. But video is the ultimate. I remember watching Gary Vaynerchuk when, this is going back to 2007-ish. He started Wine Library in 2006. Before we go further, so check this out. I found his first episode.
Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of Wine Library TV. I am Gary Vaynerchuk, Director of Operations here at Wine Library at winelibrary.com, and I am very proud to launch what we think is the first video wine blog. Well, as you know, technology doesn't stop, and now we have video blogs, and we're going to keep it very silly, fun. We have tons of guests lined up to do interviews. We're going to do tours around.
Okay, so you get the point, right? I mean, that was his very first video. And I remember watching him back then. I think I started in around 2007 watching him. And he really inspired me to just grab the video camera, plop it down in front of me and start shooting videos. And that's really what elevated my business. Once I incorporated video into my real estate business way back when, it was just a whole new world just really opened up to me. And he now preaches the ultimate package, which is if you can combine video with podcast, with a blog post, now you're kind of being everything to everyone in terms of consumption of content. But if you were going to choose one, because you just want to get going and start from the basics, the 101, how to start creating content, well, you have to first choose. Are you going to write? Are you going to speak? Or are you going to do video? Let's see, is there anything else that I'm missing? The key is just to get started. Pick one, get started, whether you're going to do it once a week, every day. I wouldn't do less than once a week. The more content you produce, the better. Don't worry about who's watching or listening or reading. Do it for yourself. Just start creating content regardless of who is paying attention. That's what I started doing. I'm not worried about what's happening out there. I'm not in control of what's happening out there. I'm only in control of me. So I'm creating my content regardless of who's looking at it right now. Because eventually, when it starts to catch on, people will look at my YouTube channel or my other social media platforms and be all like, wow, I've been missing this guy. Look at everything I've been missing. I'm so glad I'm following him now. See, I thought I was done the video, but apparently not. So I had a conversation with my daughter's boyfriend, and he brought up something so interesting. I guess that's really the only way I can say it. He says, don't I have to be good to start creating content? And I said, no, it's much better to be really crappy in the beginning when you start creating content. Wouldn't you rather be horrible at creating content when nobody's watching? Once time goes on, you will get better and better. You will start gaining more and more traction. So as your skill level goes up, as your content quality goes up, so will your audience. So don't worry about being horrible at writing or podcast or video. That's actually a good thing. When you have no audience, nobody knows that you're really horrible at it. So do it for you. And I promise you, with consistency, you're gonna look back at your content and say, okay, next time I'm gonna change this. And before you know it, weeks go by and you're gonna see the traction you're gonna start getting in your local market. You're gonna look at your most current video in your very first one, and although it may not seem like you're different, you're gonna look at them both and say, wow, I've come a long way. So don't worry if you suck real bad. It's not even an issue. If you have no audience, it's not a bad thing. The audience will start to come. So that's it. Those are the 3 ways you can start creating content: written word, podcast, video. Now you get out there and give it all you've got. We'll chat soon. Take care.